Thursday, the 10th day of September, and it is great to study Torah with y'all. Could do better than that. All right, I'll work on that. We have a wonderful, it's actually very small, even though it's a double portion. This reading for today is actually concise, packs a punch, and it will definitely give us food for thought and ideas to think about and explore. So let me share my screen with you right now, and let's get to it. All right, tell me if you can see that. Thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay, and you can hear me. So on both levels, it's fantastic. Looks like they're running a campaign up there. Nice. Okay, let's jump in. Nitzavim-Vayelech, double portion. Today is, can't highlight the H. Whatever. Okay, today is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today's the 5th reading. Let's begin. Last day of Moses' life. And Moses called Joshua, this is for those of you at home or on YouTube, Deuteronomy Chapter 31, verse number 7. And Moses called Joshua and said to him in the presence of all Israel, Chazak ve'ematz, be strong and courageous, for you shall come with this people to the land which the Lord swore to the forefathers to give them, and you shall apportion it to them as an inheritance. Again, Moses tells the people, I think it was yesterday even, Chizku ve'imtzu, y'all be strong and y'all be courageous. To Joshua, in the singular, he says, be strong and courageous. You need to be strong. You need to be courageous for this task at hand. If anyone knew what it means to lead the Jewish people, it was Moses. Moses put a lot of, what do they call it? Sweat equity? Whatever the language is. Moses put a lot of effort into leading these people and keeping them safe on all levels, from Pharaoh, from seas, from God's unhappiness after the sin of the golden calf. Moses put a lot of effort into shepherding these people, and now he says to Joshua, essentially, good luck. No, he doesn't say that. That's cynical. He says to him, be strong and courageous. You're going to need the strength and you're going to need the courage to lead these people. Let's continue. Moses says to Joshua, the Lord, he is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear and do not be dismayed. So be strong and courageous and don't be afraid. That's what this is. God is with you, and if God is with you, then nothing bad is going to happen. Therefore, do not fear. So 3 points. God is with you. Because God is with you, you will be successful. Therefore, do not fear. Next, then Moses wrote this Torah and gave it to the priests, the descendants of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. Let me read that again. Then Moses wrote this Torah and gave it to the priests from the tribe of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant. Carried the ark of the covenant, and to all elders. So basically, Moses wrote down the Torah and gave it to the people. Let's see if there's a Rashi on this. Look what Rashi says. When it was entirely completed, when the Torah was fully written, he gave it to the members of his own tribe, Levi. And the verse here is referring to the entire Torah as we know it. Let's see Rashi in verse 11. Okay, basically, this is talking about the whole Torah. Now, you might be wondering, how could Moshe have written the entire Torah in the last day of his life? Right, that's a lot. It takes about a year to write a Torah. So you tell me he wrote the whole Torah, what in between talking to the people in the last day of his life and blessing Joshua, he also pulled off writing a Torah. I mean, like, he's Moses, but still, like, that seems a little bit far-fetched. I don't know if he wrote it on this last day. So I wonder, so the truth is I don't know the answer to the question. It's a question that I'm wondering. I don't know the answer to the question. But I'm thinking, so don't take this with any sort of validity, this is me thinking aloud, that it doesn't say that he wrote the Torah on that day. I know it says then, but that's the English. The Hebrew doesn't say the word then. It says Vayichtov, and he wrote. When did he write? It doesn't say that he wrote that day. So our understanding is, this is from elsewhere from the Talmud, is that he wrote the Torah as the narratives unfolded. And the end he wrote By prophecy, God told him the words and he wrote it down before his passing, of his own passing. So it could very well be that this is talking about the Torah that Moses has been writing the whole time, all 40 years, that now he wraps it up, literally and figuratively, finishes the writing, wraps it up and gives it to his fellow Levites, fellow tribe mates, the priests, who were carrying the Ark of the Covenant, and also to the elders. Okay, that's it. Then Moses commanded them. Okay, well, so one second. So we have here the message to Joshua and the writing of the Torah, which is really significant. And then we have a new mitzvah. This is, by the way, for those counting, this is mitzvah number 600. This is mitzvah 612. Okay? Here we go. This is 612. Out of 613, this is the second to last mitzvah of the Torah. Then Moses commanded them, the people, saying, at the end of every 7 years, at an appointed time, in the festival of Sukkot, after the year of release, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God, in the place that he will choose. Okay, so that's a lot of context. So what do we do? What do we do? We know when and where. What happens? You shall read this Torah before all Israel in their ears. This is called the mitzvah hakel. Hakel is right here. That's the word. In Hebrew, hakel. Hakel means gather or assemble, which is why verse 12 begins with the word assemble. Hakel asa'am. Assemble the people, the men, the women, and the children, and your stranger in your cities, in order that they hear, and in order that they learn and fear the Lord your God, and they will observe to do all the words of this Torah. Basically what happens, let me explain the mitzvah of Hakel. Every 7 years, the year after the sabbatical year, okay, so there was a 7-year cycle of sabbatical years called Shemitah. So year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, Shemitah, sabbatical year. Okay, 7 is sabbatical year. The year following the sabbatical year, which means year 1 of the next cycle, that's when, on the holiday of Sukkot, which is coming up, by the way, in about a month or so, about a month, less than a month, the holiday of Sukkot, that's when we build the sukkah, the huts. And if we have pizza, it's called pizza in the hut. Not Pizza Hut, pizza in the hut. So on Sukkot, the year after the Shemitah year, at the time of the holiday, so all of the Jewish people should come before God, men, women, and children, and even the foreigner, even the stranger who's living in your cities. Everyone should come to Jerusalem, to the temple, right? That's the place that he will choose, to the temple, and the Torah is read. Who reads the Torah? So Jewish law tells us, it's derived from the verses, that it's the king, the Jewish king, who reads the Torah for all the people. And what's the point? In order that they hear. So number one, it's hearing the words of Torah as a group, as an assembly. And in order that they learn and fear the Lord your God. In other words, to have impressed upon them the seriousness of God, Torah, and mitzvot. And that will lead to observe to do all the words of the Torah. In a sense, the way the commentators explain it, this is kind of like a mini Sinai experience every 7 years. At Sinai, at Mount Sinai, all the people were present, men, women, and children. And so every 7 years, all the people are meant to gather, not just the men and women. No babysitters. Bring all the kids, even the babies. Everyone comes, like Sinai. This is it. We're hearing the word. Every 7 years, the king reads it, and it was a monumentous moment. It was incredible. It's a very, very powerful moment. Powerful moment of that connection, plugging back in to the source, to who we truly are. And the children who do not know, and their children who did not know will hear and learn to fear the Lord your God all the days that you live in the land, to which you are crossing the Jordan to possess. Let's see what Rashi says on that verse. Let's see what Rashi says over here. He doesn't. Either his children who did not know about, the Exodus or Sinai, future generation children, right? Their children, probably your children's children, they'll also be able to have an experience that's bigger than them, being at these Hakel celebrations, these Hakel gatherings. Okay, this is mitzvah number 612. It's a powerful mitzvah. Again, I mentioned this in the context of monuments. What a nation puts a monument up of, that kind of signals what they're into, what they're about. And our monuments are Torah, and our gatherings are also about Torah and about God and about the mitzvot and all the things that we have been privileged to receive from God. Okay, so that's the basics of this mitzvah. One thing that Rashi says, I just stopped Rashi. Let me put Rashi back on. One thing that Rashi says over here that's interesting. He says, look at the children, right? The children. Oops. Why did they come? Right? If they can't understand the Torah that's being read, so why did they come? So the Talmud answers, so that a reward would be given to those who bring them along. So the simple idea is that it's not about them, it's about the parents. So the parents schlep their kids, so the parents get extra reward. Not only did they show up, but they even brought their kids. But the kids might not understand it, but it's about, bringing the kids also. And that gives them reward. But there's a deeper understanding. The way the Rebbe understands it is not that the reward is because you schlepped along your kids and didn't get a babysitter. So look, it took more effort and you still did it. That's too cynical almost. It means, it only works in the Hebrew. Lama ba, Rashi says, why did they come? Why were they there? Lasei schar l'maviem, to give reward to those who brought them. But it could also be read, Lasei schar, to elevate l'maviem, the ones that brought them. Because when you see a child completely caught up in that moment with the wonder and the awe, being totally, fully enveloped by the moment, without being cynical. Children aren't cynical yet. If they are, then they're too old for this conversation. Right? We're talking about kids that will be like mouths open, like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. Millions of people gathered on the Temple Mount, listening to the Torah being read from a platform by the king, wearing the royal garments, reading from the Torah. It's an amazing moment. Right? My grandfather speaks about the World Fair. Remember the World Fair? He speaks like in the he was born in 22, so it must have been like in the 30s. He was a kid. Like in Queens or something, there was the World Fair, and it was like they saw all these things, and his mind was blown. It was just like amazing. I can't tell you any details, but I just remember him talking about it and like still, being amazed by that wondrous sight as a child. And that's what it is. If we can see the world, if the parents can see the world through the eyes of children, if adults could see the world through the eyes of children, that would also be a beautiful thing. And that's the deeper meaning of this Rashi. It brings reward to those who bring the children, because when you see the experience through the eyes of the children, you can see it yourself a little bit different, with a little bit more of a seeing the world through the eyes of wonder as opposed to the eyes of cynicism. All right, let's see what we have in the chat. Falafel?
Yeah, on the website they put it up. There's a falafel truck.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, Sukkot, yes. Falafel. What were we talking about? Howard Falafel. Yes, Eli Brofman, the caterer for tonight. He has now a falafel truck. He goes around pretty much every day. He goes around different parts of the city. Today, for those that are wondering, he's in North Fulton, a Chabad of North Fulton. Not that I'm stalking him, but I am, but I'm not. But he's up in North Fulton. He did it once by the Beltline, by us, on a Sunday. But I don't think the word got out, and it wasn't lining up. Whatever. It could have been more people there. It could have been more people there. Let's put it that way. Anyway, the bottom line is he will be coming with a truck on Sukkot, so it won't be pizza in the hut. Donna's pointing out it's going to be falafel in the hut through the truck by the belt line, etc. So that's what it is. By the way, because of social distancing, etc., so that he has this cool system where you ever see those grabber hands? You know what I'm talking about? Like those things, like those extendo poles with the grabbo thing. So he's got like a 10-foot pole that you could stand there and like extend, like press, telescoping thing. I'm joking about that, but it is safe and everyone wears masks and everything is good. So anyway,
it's at Best Jacob every Tuesday.
Yes, Toko Thrills at Beth Jacob every Tuesday. I know it's Toko Hills. I just love calling it Toko Thrills. You know where I got Toko Thrills from, by the way? Remember Jeff? Jeff of Jeff's Place? So he used to call it Toko Thrills. Anyway, so in Toko, he's there every Tuesday. He has this whole circuit. So Monday, I think, is Sandy Springs. Tuesday is Toko. Wednesday is Cobb. Thursday is Alpharetta, North Fulton. Friday is Dunwoody. So there you go.
And it's really good.
It's incredible falafel. It's like super fresh, super tasty, vegan, vegetarian, kosher, the whole deal. It comes with, you get like a fully loaded pita with the works. You get French fries and a lemonade, like fresh lemonade with mint. It's like crazy. For like $7.99. It's like you can't make. It's like it's totally not kosher pricing. Because like kosher pricing would be at least like
reasonably priced. For kosher,
same
sure.
for normal
Not
food.
like
I mean,
there's a new Israeli on the Beltline across from Pond City Market.
I heard about that.
Kosher.
It's not, right?
And their falafel is like $15. I'm like,
see that? Should have gone kosher. It would have been cheaper. I don't know if that's true. But anyway, I think that's a Pond City Market thing.
You have to talk to them.
Yeah. All right, good. So
They're
any
there.
Yeah. Questions, comments, Joy?
Okay, back to the children.
Yes.
The children. It makes me think of even infants. When we have our infants, we read to them.
Yes.
Whether they can understand or not, it's being together, and one day they'll understand it. It's bringing us close with these children and infants, and maybe that's why they brought that.
Yes, I love that. I agree with that 100%. I think there's two things that you're mentioning, you're touching on. Number one is the bonding experience, parent-child in that experience. But there's also, we know that children, even infants, even before birth, are influenced by what they hear, the ambiance. Remember Little Einstein or Baby Einstein? There was this whole movement, Baby Einstein, classical music for kids, for young kids, for babies. There was Little Einstein for the toddlers or whatever, and then Baby Einstein for the babies. Whatever. It was like a whole thing. I think NYU put it. It was a whole thing. And the idea is that the influence at a very young age has an influence. I mean, we know this, right? I mean, science, we know this. Maybe once upon a time we thought, like, they're kids. What do they know? Or they're not going to remember anything anyway. But by now we know that was never true. That everything creates an influence. So I think, Joy, I 100% agree with you. I think the notion of taking a child, even a baby, even an infant, a tiny, tiny baby, or even, before birth, theoretically, right? Just being in that moment, in that setting, can have a tremendous experience. There's a story from the Talmud about a rabbi who said he credited his mother for bringing him into the study hall in like a carriage when he was a baby. And he's like, that's when I started absorbing the Torah. So he's like, don't give me credit, give it to my mom who brought me as a baby to listen in on the Torah being studied. So there's even sources in the Talmud for this as well. Pretty powerful stuff. That's Hakel. That's Mitzvah 6.12. Tomorrow we do Mitzvah 6.13, which is the last Mitzvah of the Torah, which I'll speak about tonight at the dinner. So, and tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow at Daily Power Parsha. I think that's it for today. It's really great seeing everybody. Shofar. You guys are good. Let me find my shofar. I'll be right back.
I was at that World's Fair that he was talking about when I was.
Oh, really?
I was.
Where?
Either in New York, when I was.
New York?
Yes, I won't tell you how many years ago. I was a little girl. Right, I have a picture of me with my father, and what got me was a laughing lady was right there, and everybody started laughing with the laughing lady, and that's what I remember from the World's Fair.
Wow, you have to show us the picture
Yes.
Wow.
if you want. If
I would
you can, if
I would
you want.
imagine there was more than one. I would imagine there was a few of them over the years.
I went to the 63 World's Fair at Flushing.
Oh, maybe that's where it was. That's Queens, right?
Yes.
Is that near Shea Stadium?
Yes.
Okay, then I think that might have been also where it was. I don't remember though. I don't remember what my grandfather said. It's been a while since he told the story. All right, let's do shofar. Let's do it. I got my my instrument. It looks like it's smiling. It's so happy.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a weird smile, I know. All right, let's do this. Let me get in position. Try again. All right, it's been better, but look, it's good for today. That's
After
it.
after you teach us how to blow it, then we should all do a concert together.
Oh.
I'll let me just say this. We've tried before singing together on Zoom. Wow, everyone's computer is like a fraction of a second off. Plus a chauffeur concert, live harmony. Wow. It only brings back the memories of watching a rabbi in Salt Lake City who was blowing the shofar at an outdoor party a few years ago, and a dog from it was at somebody's house. You may have seen this online. Just Google shofar dog video. It's hilarious. You will roll. A dog comes over and starts howling right next to the rabbi in perfect key. He's blowing the shofar and the dog goes, woo! Like exactly beat for beat with the rabbi. You can't make this up. Google rabbi dog shofar. I can't imagine there's more than one video. It'll look like a Chabad rabbi. Rabbi Zippel. Rabbi Zippel. His son spoke a few weeks ago on a Thursday night. Just for context. Anyway, that's it for today. It's great to see you all. Hope to see you tonight. Yeah, sorry, Sandrine, go ahead.
Yeah, when you say 612 mitzvah, is it like per Rambam or
Yes.
like the order that it comes in the Torah? Or?
The order in Torah. Basically, there are different opinions, several different scholars that count up. We know the tradition is that there are 613. How do you know what they are? Because there's a lot more than 613 things that are said in the Torah. So how do you define what's a mitzvah and what's not a mitzvah? Oh, by the way, we also know that there's 248 positive and 365 negative. So we know the framework, but who's doing the counting? Who's saying this is in, this is out? Or this is a subcategory of that one, so that one's going to be counted, and this one is only like, part of that, but not its own separate thing. So Rambam and others, they write their rules out. Okay, this thing is in, this thing is out as a general rule, and then they list the 613. But in general, when they're listing them, it goes in the order in which they appear. So the last two mitzvot that are found in Torah, 612 is Hakel, gathering, once every 7 years, and 613 is tomorrow's conversation and tonight's. Stay tuned for more.
Yeah, I think in the Chumash, the Chabad Chumash, there's a listing of them.
Yes. Yeah, in the back. It goes by each Torah portion. Yeah, it's probably based on Rambam, Maimonides. But there are other accounts. There are several other scholars that have slight variations. It all depends on. Look, it's not like somebody says, "Oh, you don't have to do that." That's not what the question is. The question is it a main category or a subcategory? There's different ways of understanding it, and there are some distinctions, because if something is, is it a biblical commandment? Is it a rabbinic commandment? It's there's some nuances there. But anyway, there's always more to learn. Let's put it that way. All right, good to see you all. We'll see you soon. Stay healthy, stay healthy, stay safe, and take care. Bye, all. Take care.
Good night.
See you.